Jason drove his black car through the busy streets with care. Sarah sat in the back seat, holding Lucky gently on her lap. The little dog whimpered when the car hit bumps in the road. "It's okay, boy," Sarah said in a soft voice. "We're getting you help now." Jason looked in his mirror at the dog. "How long have you worked with animals?" he asked Sarah. 5 years at the shelter," she answered. "I see sad cases like Lucky all the time. But it's not often someone steps up like you did." Jason shook his head. "I just did what anyone should do." "But most people don't," Sarah said. "They look away. They'd pretend not to see." They arrived at Cityview Animal Hospital in just 10 minutes. It was a clean building with bright blue doors. A sign with a picture of a dog and cat hung above the entrance. Sarah carried Lucky inside while Jason held the door. A woman in blue scrubs sat at the front desk. Her eyes went wide when she saw Jason Statham walk in. "We have an emergency," Sarah said before the woman could speak. "This dog was kicked by a man. I think his leg might be broken." The nurse quickly stood up. "Bring him to room 3. Dr. Patel will see him right away." They followed her down a short hall to a small room with a metal table. Sarah placed Lucky down gently. The dog tried to stand but fell back with a cry of pain. "Poor little guy," the nurse said. She wrote some notes on a tablet. "What's his name and who is the owner?" "His name is Lucky," Sarah explained. "He's a stray. No owner that we know of." The nurse looked concerned. "Who will pay for his treatment?" "I will," Jason and Sarah said at the same time. They looked at each other and smiled. "We have donations from many people," Sarah added, showing the money that had been collected. Just then, Dr. Patel walked in. She was a short woman with a kind face. She did not seem surprised to see Jason Statham in her exam room. She went straight to Lucky and began to check him carefully. "He has a broken leg," she said after feeling the dog's right front leg. "He will need x-rays to see how bad it is. He may need surgery with pins to fix the bone." "Do whatever he needs," Jason said. "I'll cover all costs." Dr. Patel nodded. "We will take good care of him. Can you wait in the front room? This will take some time." Jason and Sarah went to the waiting area. They sat in plastic chairs next to a fish tank. For a few minutes, they were quiet, both thinking about Lucky. "What will happen to him after he heals?" Jason finally asked. Sarah sighed. "He will go to the shelter. We will try to find him a home. But adult dogs with injuries are hard to place. People want puppies." Jason watched the colorful fish swim back and forth. He thought about his own home. It was big and empty most of the time. He traveled a lot for movies, but he always missed having someone to come home to. "What if I adopted him?" Jason said suddenly. Sarah's eyes widened. "You would do that?" Jason nodded. "I have been thinking about getting a dog for a long time. Lucky needs a home. I have plenty of space and can afford his care." "But what about when you travel for movies?" Sarah asked. "I have a housekeeper who loves dogs," Jason explained. "She would care for him when I'm away. And maybe Lucky could visit the movie set sometimes. Many actors bring their dogs to work." Sarah smiled wide. "That would be amazing for Lucky. From the streets to a movie star's home. What a story." Just then, Dr. Patel came back. Her face was serious. "The x-rays show the break is worse than I thought," she said. "Lucky will need surgery tonight. And I found something else. He has a microchip." Jason and Sarah looked at each other in surprise. "A microchip?" Sarah repeated. "So he has an owner?" Dr. Patel nodded. "Yes, we called the number in the database. His real name is Max, and his owner is coming right now. She's been looking for him for 3 weeks." The news hit Jason and Sarah like a wave. Lucky already had a home. Someone out there loved him and missed him. Their plans would have to change. Vince looked at all the phones recording him. His face showed worry for the first time. He knew videos of him kicking a dog would make him look bad. His friends shifted on their feet, not sure what to do. Police take animal cruelty very seriously these days, Jason said in a calm voice. Those videos show everything. You kicking an innocent dog. You trying to hit me first. It does not look good for you. Vince's tough act began to crack. He looked at his friends, but they were backing away from him. No one wanted to be seen as the bad guy who hurt dogs. Not even tough bikers. How much? Vince finally asked through clenched teeth. How much what? Jason asked, even though he knew what Vince meant. How much for the dog's vet bills? Vince said louder, his face red with anger and shame. The young woman who held the hurt dog stepped forward. My name is Sarah, she said. I work at an animal shelter. This little guy will need x-rays and maybe surgery for his leg. It could cost hundreds of dollars. Vince cursed under his breath. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn leather wallet. I only have $200 on me. That's a start, Jason said. He looked at Sarah. Will that cover the first visit? Sarah nodded. It should pay for the emergency exam and x-rays. We can figure out the rest later if he needs more care. Vince held out the money to Sarah, not looking her in the eye. She took it with her free hand while still holding the small dog. There's one more thing, Jason said to Vince. Apologize. What? Vince almost shouted. I already gave my money. Money fixes the dog's leg. But you also need to fix your behavior, Jason explained like he was talking to a child. Say you are sorry for what you did. The crowd watched in silence. No one moved. This was the real test. Would the tough biker swallow his pride? Vince looked at the ground, then at his friends who had moved even further away, then at all the people watching. Finally, he looked at the small dog in Sarah's arms. The dog was shaking with fear and pain. Something changed in Vince's face. A memory seemed to pass behind his eyes. For just a moment, he looked sad instead of angry. I am sorry, he said in a low voice. I should not have kicked the dog. The words seemed to cost him more than the money had. Jason nodded, accepting the apology. Thank you, Sarah said to Vince. That took courage. Her kind words surprised everyone, especially Vince. Vince turned to his friends. Let's go, he said. They walked to their motorcycles and drove away without looking back. The crowd began to clap and cheer for Jason. Someone called out, that was amazing. Just like in your movies. But Jason shook his head. No, this was real life. And in real life, we all need to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. He turned to Sarah. Let me help you get this little guy to a vet. Sarah smiled gratefully. There's a good animal hospital just 3 blocks from here. I was going to call a car. I have my car nearby, Jason said. Let's not waste any time. Tom from the coffee shop stepped forward. I want to help too. Here's $50 for the dog. He handed some bills to Sarah. Soon other people from the crowd came forward. They all wanted to help the little dog. Some gave money. Others offered to spread the word about animal cruelty. In just a few minutes, Sarah had collected over $500. What's the dog's name? A little girl asked. He doesn't have one yet. Sarah replied. He's a stray. The little girl looked at Jason, then at the dog. How about Lucky? He was lucky that Mr. Statham was here to help him. Jason smiled. Lucky is a perfect name. Sarah looked down at the small brown dog in her arms. Do you hear that? Your name is Lucky now. Even in his pain, the dog seemed to understand. He licked Sarah's hand and his tail gave a small wag. The first chapter of Lucky's new life was just beginning. The crowd grew larger as people stopped to watch. Some held their phones up to record the scene. Jason Statham stood firm in front of the big biker. He was not afraid. That dog needs help, Jason said. His voice stayed calm and even. You hurt him for no reason. The biker laughed and looked back at his 3 friends. They all wore the same leather jackets with the snake logo on the back. I can hurt whatever I want, the biker said. Who's going to stop me? You? Jason did not blink. Yes, me. The biker's smile dropped. He did not like that answer. He moved closer until his face was just inches from Jason's. He smelled like cigarettes and beer. Do you know who I am? My name is Vince. I am the leader of the Snake Riders. No one tells me what to do. I don't care who you are, Jason replied. I care about what you did. That dog needs a vet now. Meanwhile, the young woman who had been helping the dog stood up. She had long brown hair and kind eyes. The dog's leg might be broken, she called out. He needs help right away. Vince the biker turned and spat on the ground. It's just a mutt. Let it die. Those cruel words made the crowd gasp. Jason's eyes narrowed. He had given the man a chance to do the right thing. Now he needed to take action. Last chance, Jason said. Help the dog or deal with me. Vince smiled an ugly smile. I was hoping you'd say that. Without warning, he swung his big fist at Jason's head. But Jason was ready. He had trained in martial arts for years, both for his movies and in real life. He moved to the side fast as a cat. Vince's fist hit only air. The force of his missed punch made him stumble forward. The crowd cheered for Jason. This made Vince even angrier. He turned and charged at Jason like a bull. Again, Jason stepped aside at just the right moment. He stuck out his foot. Vince tripped and fell hard on the sidewalk. Stay down, Jason warned. I don't want to hurt you. But Vince was too proud to listen. He jumped up and pulled out a chain from his belt. He swung it over his head. Now you'll see what happens to people who mess with me. Jason did not panic. He watched the chain, timing its swing. When Vince attacked, Jason caught the chain around his arm. With a quick twist, he pulled. The chain flew from Vince's hand. Vince's three friends started to move forward. They wanted to join the fight, but Jason gave them a look that made them stop. There was something in his eyes that warned them. This was not a man to be taken lightly. Your friend made a bad choice, Jason told them. Don't make the same mistake. The friends looked at each other. They were not sure what to do. Vince was still on his feet, but he looked less sure of himself now. 4 against 1 isn't fair, a voice called from the crowd. It was Tom from the coffee shop. He came to stand next to Jason. Make that 2 against 4. Then another man stepped forward. And another. Soon, 5 people from the crowd stood with Jason. They were regular people who were tired of seeing bullies win. Vince looked around. His face turned red with anger and shame. He had thought everyone would be too scared to stand up to him. He was wrong. This isn't over, Vince growled. But his voice had lost its power. It is over, Jason said. He pointed to the hurt dog. The young woman had picked him up and was holding him gently. Now you have a choice. You can leave, and the police will get all these videos of you kicking a dog and trying to attack me. Or you can do the right thing and pay for the dog's vet bills. Vince looked around at all the phones pointed at him. His face changed as he realized what trouble he was in. It was a busy Monday morning in downtown Los Angeles. People rushed to work with coffee cups in their hands. Cars honked in the traffic. No one had time to stop and look around. No one except a small brown dog with floppy ears who sat near a coffee shop. The dog wagged his tail at everyone who walked by. He hoped someone might give him a pat or maybe a small bit of food. He was thin but friendly, with eyes that seemed to smile at the world, despite his hard life on the streets. A man named Tom sat at an outdoor table of the coffee shop. He sipped his drink and watched the little dog with a smile. The dog reminded him of one he had as a child. Tom thought about giving the dog some of his muffin when a loud noise made him turn his head. A large motorcycle rolled up to the curb. Its engine roared like thunder before the rider shut it off. The man who got off the bike was big and mean-looking. He wore a black leather jacket with many patches. His arms were covered in dark tattoos. A thick chain hung from his belt to his pocket. His beard was wild, and his eyes were cold. The biker saw the small dog and frowned. The dog, friendly as always, walked toward him with his tail wagging. He thought he might have found a new friend. He was wrong. "Get away, you dirty mutt," the biker growled. But the dog did not understand. He just wagged his tail harder and came closer. What happened next made everyone nearby freeze in shock. The biker pulled back his heavy boot and kicked the small dog hard. The poor animal flew through the air and hit the ground with a painful yelp. He tried to stand but fell back down, crying in pain. The biker laughed. "That will teach you to stay away," he said in a loud voice. He seemed proud of what he had done. A few people looked upset, but no one said anything. They just looked down and walked faster. No one wanted trouble with such a mean man. No one except one person who had just walked out of the coffee shop. He had seen everything. His name was Jason Statham, the famous movie actor known for playing tough guys in action films. But right now, he wasn't acting. The look on his face was real anger. Unlike his movie roles where he played men who solved problems with their fists, the real Jason Statham was a calm and thoughtful man. But he had one rule he never broke: stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. Jason put down his coffee on a nearby table. His eyes never left the biker. He walked forward with steady steps. People began to notice him. Some took out their phones to record what might happen next. "Excuse me," Jason said in his deep voice with a British accent. "I saw what you just did to that dog." The biker turned around. He was taller than Jason by several inches. His shoulders were wider too. He looked down at Jason with a sneer. "What's it to you?" The biker asked. "It's just a stray mutt. No one cares about it." "I care," Jason said simply. His voice was quiet but firm. "That dog did nothing wrong. He was just being friendly." The biker laughed and looked around at the growing crowd. Well, well. Look who thinks he's a real hero, and not just in the movies. What are you going to do about it, movie star? Jason didn't raise his voice. He didn't clench his fists. He just stood there, calm and strong like a rock in a storm. "I'm going to ask you to apologize and help that dog get medical care for the harm you caused." The biker's friends had now gathered behind him. There were 3 of them, all big and rough-looking. They laughed at Jason's words. "You hear that, boys?" the biker said. "The actor wants me to say sorry to a dog." He stepped closer to Jason, trying to use his size to scare him. "You should walk away now if you know what's good for you." The small dog was still lying on the ground, shaking in pain. A young woman had knelt down beside him, trying to comfort him. She looked up at the scene with worried eyes. Jason Statham did not back down. His eyes were locked with the bikers. The crowd held their breath. What would happen next? Jason and Sarah sat in the waiting room, both quiet with their thoughts. They had planned to give Lucky a new home, but now everything had changed. The dog already had an owner and a name. He was Max, not Lucky. "I wonder what kind of person the owner is," Jason said after a while. Sarah nodded. "I hope they're good to him. Not all pet owners are responsible." Just then, the front door of the animal hospital opened. A young woman rushed in. She looked about 20 years old. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, and she wore jeans with a coffee shop uniform shirt. She seemed out of breath, like she had run all the way there. "I got a call about Max," she said to the woman at the desk. "I'm Lily Chen. They said he's here." The desk nurse smiled kindly. "Yes, Lily. Dr. Patil is treating him now. He has a broken leg, but he'll be okay." Tears filled Lily's eyes. "Can I see him? I've been looking for him for weeks. Dr. Patil is preparing him for surgery. You can see him briefly before they start," the nurse explained. "These people brought him in." She pointed to Jason and Sarah. Lily turned and noticed them for the first time. Her eyes grew wide when she saw Jason Statham. For a moment, she seemed unable to speak. Then she rushed over to them. "You found Max. You brought him here." Her voice shook with emotion. Sarah stood up. Yes, he was hurt by a man who kicked him on the street. Someone kicked my Max. Lily's voice rose with anger and hurt. Jason stood too. I stopped the man. We brought Max here right away. Lily looked back and forth between them, trying to understand everything. Then she did something that surprised them both. She hugged Sarah tight, then turned and hugged Jason too. "Thank you," she said, crying now. "Max is all I have. When he ran away, I was so scared." "How did he get lost?" Sarah asked gently. Lily wiped her eyes. "I was working a late shift at the coffee shop. Someone left the door to my apartment open. Max got out. I've been putting up posters and searching every day." Jason could see the love in Lily's eyes when she talked about her dog. It was clear that Max had a good home with someone who cared deeply for him. Dr. Petal came out to the waiting room. "Ah, you must be Lily," she said. "Max is ready for surgery, but you can see him for a minute first." Lily followed the doctor down the hall. Jason and Sarah stayed behind. "She really loves him," Sarah said softly. Jason nodded. "Yes, that's all that matters." A few minutes later, Lily came back to the waiting room. Her eyes were red from crying, but she seemed more calm now. "Dr. Patel says the surgery will cost $3,000, she said, looking worried. "I don't have that much. I'm still in college and only work part-time." "It's covered," Jason said simply. "We collected donations, and I'll pay whatever else is needed." Lily stared at him. "But why would you do that for a dog you don't know?" "Because it was the right thing to do," Jason replied. Lily sat down across from them. "Dr. Petal told me what happened, how you stood up to a big biker who hurt Max." She shook her head in wonder. "Just like your movies." Jason smiled a little. "The movies are just acting. This was real." "Can you tell us about Max?" Sarah asked, changing the subject. Lily's face brightened. "He's 3 years old. I got him from a shelter when he was 1. He was so scared of everything back then. It took months before he would trust me." She pulled out her phone and showed them pictures of Max playing in a park, sleeping on a couch, wearing a silly hat at Christmas. "He looks very happy with you," Sarah said. "He's my best friend," Lily said simply. "When I'm having a hard day, he always knows. He puts his head on my lap and just stays with me." A nurse came into the waiting room. "The surgery is starting now. It will take about 2 hours." "I'll stay," Lily said right away. "We'll stay too," Jason said, "if that's okay with you." Lily smiled at them, grateful not to be alone during this worry. They all settled in to wait for news about Max. The waiting room was quiet except for the soft bubbling of the fish tank. Jason, Sarah, and Lily sat together as time passed slowly. None of them wanted to leave until they knew Max would be okay. Lily looked at her phone again. "It's been almost 2 hours now. Surgery takes time," Sarah said in a gentle voice. "Dr. Patel is very good. She will take care of Max." Jason stood up and stretched his legs. He walked to a small table that had a coffee machine. "Would anyone like some coffee or tea?" "Coffee, please," Lily said. "Black." "Tea for me," Sarah added, "with sugar if they have it." Jason made the drinks and brought them over. As he handed a cup to Lily, he noticed her hands were shaking a little. "Max will be fine," he said. His voice was firm and sure. "He's a strong dog." Lily tried to smile. "How did you know what to do?" "When that man kicked Max, I mean." Jason thought for a moment. "I don't like bullies. Never have. When I was a kid, I was small for my age. Other boys picked on me. Then I grew up and learned to defend myself." "But you didn't hurt that biker," Sarah pointed out. "You could have, but you didn't." "Violence isn't the answer," Jason said. "That's just in movies. Real strength is knowing when not to fight." Just then, the door to the surgery area opened. Dr. Patel walked out, still wearing her blue surgery gown. All 3 of them stood up right away. "How is he?" Lily asked, her voice full of worry. Dr. Patel smiled. "The surgery went well. We put a metal pin in his leg to hold the bone in place while it heals. He's waking up now." Lily put her hands to her face, tears of relief running down her cheeks. "Can I see him?" "Yes, but just for a few minutes. He needs to rest," Dr. Patel said. "He'll need to stay here for at least 2 days. Then he can go home, but he'll need to wear a cast for 6 weeks. I'll take good care of him," Lily promised. "I'll do whatever he needs." Dr. Patel led Lily to the recovery area. Sarah and Jason stayed in the waiting room. "You've done a wonderful thing today," Sarah said to Jason. He shook his head. "We all did. You, me, the people who gave money." Dr. Patel. "It takes many people to make things right." After a few minutes, Lily came back. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. "He knew me," she said happily. "He wagged his tail when he saw me, even though he was still groggy from the medicine." "That's great," Sarah said. "Dr. Patel says I can visit him tomorrow," Lily went on. "But I need to work. I can't miss my shift or I'll lose my job." She looked torn between her need to work and her worry for Max. "What time is your shift?" Jason asked. "Noon to 8, Lily said. "I work at Bean, their coffee on Main Street." Jason nodded. "I could visit Max during that time. Make sure he's doing okay." Lily's eyes widened. "You would do that? But you're—" She didn't finish, but they all knew what she meant. He was a famous movie star with a busy life. "I want to," Jason said simply. "I feel connected to Max now." Sarah checked her watch. "It's getting late. We should all go home and rest. Max is in good hands." They walked out to the parking lot together. The sun had set, and the city lights were shining in the darkness. "I don't have a car," Lily said. "I came by bus, but they've stopped running by now." "I can drag you home," Jason offered. "And I'll meet you both here tomorrow." Sarah added, "I want to check on Max too." As they got into Jason's car, Lily looked at both of them with wonder. "I don't know how to thank you both. When Max went missing, I felt so alone. Now I have 2 new friends." "That's how the world should work," Jason said as he started the car. "People helping each other when things are tough." They drove through the night streets, 3 strangers brought together by one small dog and an act of cruelty that had turned into something good. The next day, Jason arrived at the animal hospital at 11:30. He wore a simple black hat and sunglasses to avoid being noticed. When he walked in, Sarah was already there, talking with Dr. Patel. "Good morning," Jason said as he joined them. "How is Max today?" Dr. Patel smiled. "He had a good night. The pain medicine is helping him rest. He ate a little breakfast this morning, which is a very good sign." "Can we see him?" Sarah asked. "Of course. Follow me." Dr. Patel led them to a quiet room in the back of the hospital. There, in a large cage with a soft blanket, was Max. His right front leg was wrapped in a bright blue cast. He lifted his head when they came in and his tail thumped against the blanket. "Hey, buddy," Jason said softly. He knelt down to be at eye level with Max. The dog sniffed his hand, then gave it a small lick. "He remembers me." "Dogs are smart that way," Sarah said. "They know who helps them." A nurse came in with a bowl of water for Max. "He has a visitor in the waiting room," she told them. Jason and Sarah looked at each other, confused. Lily was at work. Who else would visit Max? They went back to the waiting area and were shocked by who they saw. It was Vince, the biker who had kicked Max. He stood awkwardly by the door, holding a brown paper bag. He looked very different from yesterday. His face was clean-shaven now, and he wore a plain blue shirt instead of his leather jacket. "What are you doing here?" Jason asked, his body tense and ready. Vince held up his hands. "I'm not looking for trouble. I swear. I just—" He stopped and took a deep breath. "I came to see how the dog is doing." Sarah crossed her arms. Why do you care? You hurt him. Vince looked down at his boots. I know. I did a terrible thing. I've been thinking about it all night. I couldn't sleep. He held out the paper bag. I brought some dog treats and more money for his care. Jason and Sarah were too surprised to speak at first. This was not what they expected. The dog is recovering from surgery, Jason finally said. His name is Max. He has an owner who loves him very much. Vince nodded. That's good. I'm glad. He shifted from one foot to the other. Can I see him? I want to. He seemed to struggle with his words. I need to say sorry. For real this time. Dr. Patel had been listening from the hallway. She stepped forward. I think that might be good for both of you, but I'll be watching to make sure Max isn't upset. They all went back to Max's room. Vince stayed by the door while Dr. Patel checked on Max. He seems calm, she said. You can come closer, but move slowly. Vince walked to the cage with careful steps. When Max saw him, the dog's ears went back, and he gave a small whine. He knows who you are, Sarah said. Vince knelt down, keeping his distance from the cage. I'm sorry, little guy, he said in a rough voice. I hurt you, and you didn't deserve that. His eyes were wet with tears that surprised everyone, including himself. I've been angry for a long time, taking it out on the world. But that's no excuse. Max watched him carefully. Then, slowly, his ears came forward again. He didn't wag his tail, but he didn't seem afraid anymore either. Why did you come back? Jason asked. Vince stood up and wiped his eyes quickly. My dad was a mean drunk. He kicked our family dog when I was a kid. I hated him for it. He shook his head. Yesterday, I became just like him. That scared me more than you did, Statham. Sarah's face softened a little. Recognizing a problem is the first step to fixing it. I don't know if I can fix me, Vince said honestly, but I'm going to try. He handed the paper bag to Jason. There's $500 in there, and some good treats my sister's dog likes. Thank you, Jason said, taking the bag. This will help with Max's recovery. Just then, the nurse poked her head in the door. Mr. Statham, there's someone else here to see Max. A police officer. Everyone in the room turned toward the door. Vince's face went pale. Jason stepped forward, ready to explain the situation if needed. A tall police officer with gray hair walked into the room. She wore a neat blue uniform and had kind eyes. Good morning, she said. I'm Officer Garcia. I heard about what happened to this dog yesterday. Vince looked at the floor, his hands shaking a little. He clearly thought he was in trouble. How did you hear about it? Sarah asked. Officer Garcia smiled. The video is all over the internet. Mr. Statham standing up for an injured dog. It's gone viral. Jason looked surprised. I didn't know anyone posted the video. Several people did, Officer Garcia explained. It has millions of views already. That's why I'm here. Vince took a deep breath. Are you here to arrest me? The officer looked at him carefully. Are you the man who kicked the dog? Vince nodded, his shoulders slumped. Yes, but I came back to apologize and help pay for his care. Officer Garcia wrote something in her small notebook. Animal cruelty is a serious offense. It can mean jail time and heavy fines. The room went quiet. Everyone looked at Vince, who seemed to shrink under their gaze. However, Officer Garcia continued. I spoke with the dog's owner this morning. She said she doesn't want to press charges if you're truly sorry and willing to make things right. Vince's head snapped up. She said that, after what I did. Lily is a kind person, Sarah said. She cares more about Max getting better than punishing someone. Jason looked at the officer. So what happens now? Officer Garcia put her notebook away. Instead of jail, I can offer community service at the animal shelter. 40 hours of cleaning cages, walking dogs, and helping care for animals. I'll do it, Vince said right away. I want to make this right. Good, Officer Garcia said with a nod. And I have another reason for coming here today. She turned to Jason. The mayor wants to honor you with a Citizen Hero Award for standing up against animal cruelty. Jason shook his head. No, thank you. I don't need an award. I just did what was right. The mayor thought you might say that, Officer Garcia said with a smile. That's why she suggested an alternative. The city will donate $10,000 to the animal shelter in your name. Sarah gasped. That would help so many animals. That I will accept, Jason said. Thank you. Officer Garcia looked at Max, who was watching everything from his cage. How is he doing? He's recovering well, Dr. Patel said. He should be able to go home in a day or two. I'm glad to hear it, Officer Garcia said. She turned to leave, then stopped and faced Vince again. Report to the animal shelter on Monday at 8 a.m. Ask for Maria. She's expecting you. After the officer left, Vince let out a long breath. I got lucky. I deserved worse. You have a chance to do better now, Jason told him. Make the most of it. Vince nodded. I will. He looked at Max one more time. Get better soon, buddy. As Vince left, a nurse came in with a phone. Dr. Patel, Lily Chen is calling. She wants an update on Max. Dr. Patel took the phone and spoke with Lily for a few minutes. When she finished, she turned to Jason and Sarah with a smile. Lily asked if you two could bring Max home when he's released. She trusts you both, and she wants you to see her apartment so you can visit Max during his recovery. Sarah smiled wide. Of course we will. Jason nodded. It would be our pleasure. Max wagged his tail as if he understood everything they were saying. Despite his broken leg and the pain he had suffered, his eyes were bright and hopeful. He's a special dog, Dr. Patel said, and he's brought together some special people. Jason looked at Sarah, then at Max. What had started as a simple act of standing up against cruelty had turned into something much bigger. New friendships, second chances, and a community coming together to care for one small dog who had touched all their hearts. 2 days later, it was time for Max to go home. Dr. Patel gave him one final check and seemed pleased with his progress. His leg is healing well, she told Jason and Sarah as they stood by. Keep the cast dry and bring him back in 2 weeks for a checkup. Jason carefully picked up Max and cradled him in his arms. The dog licked his chin, making everyone smile. He knows who his friends are, Dr. Patel said. Sarah carried a bag with medicine and special food for Max. They thanked the doctor and the nurses, then headed out to Jason's car. Sarah had already set up a soft blanket in the back seat for Max to ride on. Lily texted me her address, Sarah said as they drove. She lives in an apartment building on Oak Street. Jason nodded. Not far from here. The drive was short. They found Lily's building and parked nearby. It was a simple brick building with 4 floors. Nothing fancy, but clean and well kept. She's in apartment 302, Sarah said, checking her phone. They took the elevator up. Max stayed calm in Jason's arms, looking around with curious eyes. When they reached Lily's door and knocked, they heard quick footsteps inside. Lily opened the door with a big smile. You're here. Come in, come in. Her apartment was small but cozy. Photos of Max hung on the walls. A dog bed with fresh blankets sat in the corner. Toys were neatly arranged in a basket. Everything was ready for Max's return. Welcome home, Max, Lily said, her eyes shining with tears of joy. Jason gently placed Max on his dog bed. The happy dog looked around, clearly recognizing his home. His tail wagged fast as he settled into his soft blankets. Dr. Patel sent these for him, Sarah said, giving Lily the bag of medicine and food. The pills are for pain and to prevent infection. He needs one with breakfast and one with dinner. Lily nodded, taking in all the instructions carefully. I took 3 days off work to stay with him. My boss was really nice about it when I explained what happened. That's good, Jason said. He shouldn't be alone too much right now. They sat together in Lily's small living room, watching Max as he dozed off in his bed. "I still can't believe everything that's happened," Lily said. "When Max went missing, I was so sad. Then he gets hurt, but meets you both, and now the whole city knows his story. Life is strange that way," Sarah said. "Bad things happen, but sometimes they lead to good things too." Jason nodded. "I was just getting coffee when I saw Max get kicked. I never planned to get involved, but I'm glad I did. I start volunteering at the animal shelter next month," Sarah told them. "This whole experience made me want to help more animals. And I heard Vince started his community service early," Jason added. "The shelter called to say he's been working hard and is good with the scared dogs." Lily smiled. Everyone changed a little because of Max. They talked for another hour, getting to know each other better. Jason told stories from his movie sets that made them laugh. Sarah shared her dreams of opening her own animal rescue someday. Lily talked about her college studies and plans for the future. As they were getting ready to leave, Lily hugged them both. "You'll come back to visit Max, right? He'd miss you if you didn't." "Try to keep us away," Sarah said with a smile. "And when Max's cast comes off, we should take him to the park to celebrate," Jason suggested. "It's a deal," Lily agreed. As Jason and Sarah walked to the car, they both felt happy. What had started with an act of cruelty had ended with new friendships, a community coming together, and even a chance for the bully to change his ways. "You know," Sarah said as they drove away, "most heroes in movies save the world from big disasters. But real heroes just do the right thing when it matters, even if it's for one small dog." Jason smiled. "And sometimes, that one small act can change many lives for the better." Max was home safe, justice had been served, and kind hearts had found each other in a world that sometimes seemed too busy to care. It was not the ending anyone expected, but it was better than they could have imagined.